Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Hey gang, it's Brian Perez. Thanks for joining us today on New Life Live. And here to answer your questions today, we've got Dr. Jim Burns, the founder of Homeward, as well as licensed marriage and family therapist Chris Williams. How you guys doing?
Doing well today. Good to be here.
Yeah, great to have you here. Jim, what's on your mind to start us off today?
Well, I'm very happy to be here, and I love our listeners. Mm-hmm. You know, I connect with our listeners. I'll be out speaking someplace, and they'll come up and say, hey, you know, I listened to you on New Life Live, and then they're just great people.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Anyway, it's a pretty cool thing. I've been thinking about a story in the Bible, and it's a famous story. John 5, you go John 5, 1 through 15 if you want to check it out. But Jesus met a man who was lame for 38 years. So in other words, he'd been ill. This is a physical ailment, but we also have emotional ailments and mental ailments and spiritual ailments. And he had been ill for 38 years, and he came to a pool. We'll call it Bethesda. There's different views of what that actual name of that pool was in Jerusalem. And there were all these sick people by the pool, and the angel of the Lord would come and stir up the pool sometimes, and whoever got there first would be healed. I mean, great story. The man told Jesus, I can't get into the pool because I'm never the first, and so I've been here for a long time waiting. And Jesus said to him, do you want to get well? And the man didn't say yes. This has always surprised me about this story, but he didn't say yes. He made an excuse. I can't get into the pool. Mm-hmm. I get it. I understand. And we make excuses sometimes. Mm-hmm. And Jesus didn't listen to that excuse. He just said, well, get up, pick up your mat. And when in obedience he got up and picked up his mat, he walked and he was healed. And I think sometimes we need to have those courageous moments of just, you know, getting up and picking up our mat, and the healing begins. There's another story in the Bible where another person, a leper, said to Jesus, if you are willing, you can heal me. And I love what Jesus said, I am willing. And I think we need to be reminded that our God is willing to heal us. He's willing to walk through us through the healing process. Because sometimes there is a healing that's instantaneous. And a lot of times my experience is healings are not instantaneous, but they're a process. Yeah. That's been my life, see. So now I'm going to take you to a movie, a movie I love. It's a movie it was done in 2017. I like Matt Damon. It's called We Bought a Zoo. And he and his two sons bought a zoo. But here's what he said, and I'm going to relate this to everything in a minute. He said, you know, sometimes all we need is 20 seconds of insane courage, literally 20 seconds of just embarrassing bravery, and I promise you something great will come of it. He was talking about buying a zoo. But I think in my own life, I've had some 20-second decisions that have actually transformed my life. And they were usually when I understood that Jesus was there saying, I'm willing if you're willing. Mm-hmm. Say, I'm doing my part, now you come and do your part. Mm-hmm. You know. And I wonder what that insanely courageous decision you need to be listening to God about today. Is it to go get counseling from an addiction? That's tough. And that's brave, but that's what you might need. Is it moving toward healing in a estranged relationship? And maybe even though you think it's more their part, you have to start by saying, I'm sorry. Is it giving your heart to Christ? I don't know what it is, but I know this. He loves you not for what you do, but for who you are. And he is willing. And I just felt like I needed to say that to somebody today here on the broadcast.
Well, I'm right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Jim, that is so good. I've referenced that movie before in encouraging guys to sign up for Every Man's Battle.
Absolutely.
It just takes 20 seconds of courage and your life can change forever.
Yeah.
But I think that it's too easy to forget on the other side of that great reminder today, Jim, that God is willing.
Yes.
He's a willing God. He's an available God.
Right.
And our belief in that can get challenged at times.
Yeah.
But let's come back to it today and give us a call here. 20 seconds of courage. That's all it takes.
Absolutely.
Yep. By the time you pick up your phone and dial those digits, it's about 20 seconds. So
that's right.
That's an amazing feat. We'll be right back with some of your calls here on New Life Live.
We've been married 33 years. We attended the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. Even though we've read books, or attended a few other marriage weekends, this was certainly different and a lot more intensive than initially that we thought.
When you come to intimacy in marriage, you're going to be immersed into a 3-day process.
Was not really sure exactly what to expect, but the idea of learning to really understand intimacy was intriguing. We had been in the same patterns of struggle over and over again.
If you've thought, I don't think we can ever change, we're just in this rut and we can't get out, the Intimacy in Marriage workshop can help you get out of the rut.
The Intimacy in Marriage weekend is July 25th to the 27th in Washington, D.C. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
I would highly recommend it.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
And let's go right to the phones. Here is Paul, who's listening to us in Jensen Beach, Florida on Sirius XM channel 131. Hey there, Paul. Thank you for taking the time to call in today to New Life Live.
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so I talked to your screener. I've got a brother, twin brother. I'm age 77 right now. And he's an atheist. He's been that ever since we were young. We were raised in church. We were there all the time. And so, I became a Christian from YMCA camp, when I was in elementary school. Anyway, so my brother lives in D.C., Washington, D.C., but he's, 3 or 4 years ago, he would, he would send me emails and all that stuff, no such thing as heaven or hell, har, 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 and it's just like, when you die, you just go back into the earth, that's it. There's no afterlife or anything. So, but anyway, it got into where he would send me, text cartoons, mocking God, mocking Jesus. And so I would always answer those pictures with scripture all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally it just kept on and kept on. And I told him, I said, if you send one more of those pictures, then I will stop communicating with you. And it didn't take him 2 minutes to do it.
Wow.
So I stopped communicating with him for probably about a year. So one of my friends from high school, said, call. Anyway, I ended up calling him, and he was so happy that I called him. And he wanted to open up communications again, but, we don't want to discuss religion or politics unless we agree to it, Well, then, a little over 2.5 years ago, after 53 years of marriage, the Lord took my wife home.
Mm.
And so he came to the service. She was cremated, and he came to the service.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking and everything, but then it just started ballooning again, I guess, because if I was to see him right now, I wouldn't have a problem hugging him or just he's my brother or whatever, but. And I would do things with him on vacation, but I can't stand to be with him when I know his mindset is, listen, there's no such thing as heaven or hell. That was human invented. And also, God says, he took my wife too soon for me, but, you can't, when it's time for the Lord to call you home, you can't add a second or take a second away.
Right. What would you guys say to Paul? Should he open up communication with his brother? Should he, knowing that he's probably going to send these cartoons and things, continue to do that?
Well, I do. But I do think that, Paul, you have to continue to reinforce the boundary. Mm-hmm. Boundaries we think are one and done, and that's typically not how we work. And it does, in sometimes that's with families when we believe differently, and sometimes behave differently, that can create. Guys do this, brothers do this all the time. let's be honest. I have a brother, and we love antagonizing each other.
Sure.
We love needling each other. But there's just times where if it crosses a boundary, if it hurts the other person or offends the other person, we've got to respond well to that. And again, a lot of times those boundaries are not always kept and have to be reinforced. But it does sound like your brother wants you in his life, and you want to be in his life as well. And so to be in each other's life, again, that's just something that you're going to have to hold to, and it doesn't sound like he's the one that's going to hold it. So that responsibility falls on you. And I just think that, listen, we're not here to say that he, one way or the other, but there is a door that still remains open. Mm-hmm. And who knows what life will have for him, or how God may visit him in some way or another, that he needs your voice of faith. But regardless of that, he needs you as a brother, and you need him as a brother. And I would continue that friendship and relationship that you have with him, but reinforce the boundary.
Jim?
Well, I would almost say the exact same thing, Paul. You know what? Brothers do this kind of stuff. And I wrote the word boundary too. Boundary isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a good thing, mm-hmm. right? So I think you want to look at that, just simply go, hey, look it, I'm not going to respond to these. So if he sends you, you've said, I'm going to cut off the communication, that worked for a bit, but it didn't. You don't want that. So when he sends those things, just ignore that. And then, maybe you write back and say, how's the weather in D.C.? Whatever it might be, but just ignore his input. Now, again, it's hard on your heart because you don't want to get this kind of stuff, especially from your brother. But, I find that, consistent relationship can go far. Like you said, we're going to hug each other. We're going to see each other. We're going to vacation even together. We'll do stuff. Yeah, eventually he'll stop it. A lot of times even with bullying, and I don't think he's bullying you. I think he's being a brother that's bugging you. But with bullying, what they say, the best thing you can do is just ignore it. And then eventually they'll find somebody else who will, engage. And so just ignore them on when those things happen. Sometime down the road, what you may want to do is say, I know you don't believe, but I want to put this in front of you. I had the experience with my brother, close. 3 days before he died, I had the privilege to pray with him. And he wasn't being like your brother, but he wasn't interested in faith. Well, you know what? 3 days before he was going to die, I said, would you like me to walk through something with you? And I actually walked through a salvation thing with him. And I said, would you be willing to pray with me? And he prayed with me and he died, right? So I believe I'm going to see him in heaven. But I'm telling you, I'm sad that he didn't live that out for some years of his life. But I'm really happy that I still had that opportunity. So it's not lost. He knows where you stand. He knows what you believe. But I would ignore him. I would ignore those things and not even care. But if he does keep pushing you verbally, then you say, hey, look, we've got that rule. We have that in our family. We have a no politics rule because we have one daughter she cancels out Kathy's and my vote. I'll just tell you that. And so we just say, hey, at Thanksgiving, we're not going to talk about this stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if she starts, which she has in the past, I would just go, okay, no politic rule. And she's fine with it. She goes fine.
And I have a riddle for that.
Yeah.
Do you know how you stop getting a dog to beg at the table? You stop feeding it. Stop feeding at table.
Can you write that down and give it to my wife? Because she does that, and she can't understand why her dog sits right by her, doesn't look at me.
Yeah. Well, and the point of that is that when we don't respond to the antagonist, the antagonist can't work for us any longer. Stop feeding the dog.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Paul, I would say pray for your brother because maybe you're not the one who's going to reach him. You're not the one who's going to, he doesn't want to hear it from you maybe. I don't know. You guys have been around, known each other for 77 years. Yeah. And he just needs a friend or a neighbor or somebody else who's going to maybe.
And it's interesting, Brian, because sometimes the people who are most antagonistic, they have a spiritual bent. They're curious. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're and I don't know about Paul's brother, but that could be something where as time goes on, he's going to take a step in that direction.
Yeah.
So should we send boundaries to Paul? Do you
I
think
think
that
that's
would
a
be
great idea. Yep.
All right, Paul, thanks for calling in today to New Life Live. We're going to send you boundaries. And now we're going to go to Ray, who is in Altoona, Pennsylvania, also listening to us on Sirius XM Channel 131. Hi there, Ray. Welcome to New Life Live.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks for taking my call today. I'll give you a little bit of the backstory here. So my wife and I met 20 years ago, and I was a believer, and I knew she was not a believer, and we had conversation back then, would it be ever an issue? So at some point, I was unchurched at the time, not living the way I should be living, not living for Christ then. However, I was always a believer. One thing led to another, and some crisis came. She suffers with PTSD, depression, anxiety, and all that kind of stuff. And through the illness, sticking with her was really tough, and it made me angry and vicious. And so I felt the Lord call me back to church. And so since 2020, I've been very deeply rooted back in Christ, back in the church. And she sees the peace that I have on me. And she wants that peace. However, she can't find it due to the fact that she still believes in evolution, and she can't believe in the supernatural that the Lord offers and things like that. And so when she asks me a question, now I sometimes answer her biblically pretty much all the time because I know that God is the answer to her problems. Unfortunately, she doesn't always want the God answer. She wants me back. And I don't know how to separate me from him because we are one.
Good. What do you guys say?
Well, Ray, I think you're incredibly articulate, by the way. And, I think she can have you and have your relationship with God. But I think you may have to back off. I find that sometimes if you let's say you said something that's a proverb that you got from your pastor, just don't say it's a proverb. Just say what it is. She knows who you are. She knows what you believe. She knows where you're coming from. So Ray is going to be Ray, the best Ray, and she's going to be very, I think, interested in this piece that you have. So if she feels like you're preaching or lecturing, and you may not feel that, but you might have to ask her, do you feel like I'm kind of being too preachy? Am I kind of being too lectury? Am I, trying to do you think I'm trying to jam the Bible down your throat when I share this? So just, I wouldn't back off with, all the advice. I would just back off sometimes from where you are getting it. And you're not her counselor anyway. You're her husband, so she wants you. So work on that, relationship. She knows where you're from. She knows who you are. She knows what is bringing you that peace. You can still have a good relationship with her and not feel like you have to preach and I'm not saying you do this, or if you do, you probably want to back off a bit, where you preach every moment where this is exactly what it needs. It is, but sometimes it takes baby steps to get there. And so in your overzealousness, if that is the case, just back off a tad bit in terms of the overzealous side, but continue to love her in Christ. And I have a feeling that this could be a really good ending because of your willingness to persevere, even through the PTSD time. Now she sees it, in this new era. So persevere.
So what you're saying then is that Ray could help his wife, give her advice, and maybe just not mention that it's from God's word.
Yeah.
God's not afraid of copyright infringement, right? God's not going to sue you, Ray, for how dare you take Proverbs out of context, or how dare you not credit me as the.
Well, I just spoke at a secular event. I used scripture. I just didn't say where I was getting it from. Now, every Christian knew where I was getting it from, right? You're a Christian, aren't you? I am. Well, we can do that with our unbelieving spouses.
Yeah.
If that's offending them. And you might even want to have that conversation. And Chris, this is more your lineup, but how am I offending you with this? And then really listen, because if she says, well, you're too preachy, then you may not think you are, but if you are being too preachy, then take a step back.
Well, there is something deeper going on here too. In the reaction to PTSD, we either have a deep desire for control or a deep aversion to control.
Yeah, that's good.
We have a very tenuous relationship with it. So approaching humility, approaching these situations and relationships in humility. And this is just what I know over and over and over again. Romans 2 says this very clearly. It wasn't God's judgment that compelled me. It was God's kindness that compelled me to faith, compelled me to repentance. And so as we continue to show kindness and regard, and that becomes very difficult when people have a different perspective or believe differently from us as we talked about with Paul. But their difference does not change the fact that we can be loving and kind and generous and patient, showing God's grace, administering God's grace, as Ephesians tells us to do, and knowing that that's going to be the attractional piece, and believing all the right things is just going to take time.
Exactly. When you talk about even evolution, kindness draws you to repentance.
Yes.
Love it.
Any book recommendations from the newlife.com store?
I think How We Love would be great for them.
How We Love. Okay, we'll send that to you. Thank you so much for calling in today, Ray from Pennsylvania. And we've got more great calls coming up here on New Life. Thank you so much for listening today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting us financially as well. And also thank you for praying for us, and not just us here at New Life, but our listeners who call in with so many different situations. Keep them in prayer too. We'll be back.
Early on, looking at pornography that went into affairs, massage parlors, strip clubs with buddies. Before you know it, you're ashamed of that.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity, impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography.
My wife got a phone call, and she asked me who this person was, and man, how do I get myself out of this one?
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
When she said to me, I want you to look at this website named Every Man's Battle, she had me look, and I said, no, this is exactly where I need to be. This is exactly the problems I have, and I'm gonna go.
You don't have to struggle any longer. Get help in Denver, Colorado, June 6th through the 8th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to register or to find out more. 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
As Dr. Jim Burns mentioned at the beginning of today's episode, we love our listeners, and we consider it such a privilege when you guys call us and talk to us here at New Life Live. But sometimes more help is needed than what we can provide on the show. Thankfully, we have a nationwide network of Christian counselors who can help you with a struggle you're facing, a relationship issue, a past or present trauma, addiction in your life or a loved one's life, or just a desire to improve your life. Working with a Christian counselor in our network can put you on such an amazing path forward. Call us to get a referral at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Nancy, thank you for calling us today from New York. How can we help you?
Yes, this is Nancy.
Yeah, listening on WBLN. Welcome.
Yes. I just have a question. My daughter is 40 years old, and she's been pretty much anorexic pretty much all her life since she's been 15 or maybe 20. And last year, she tried to commit suicide 3 times, which I did not know. And then she ended up in the hospital because she called the police and told the police that her husband was beating her up. And they came and they seen that she was mentally unstable and took her to the hospital for 3 days observation. She would not take any treatment. She will not take any treatment. The family is, she has 3 children, ages from 10 to 19. There's no communication with the children at all. Basically, she's told me she wished she never had any kids and she doesn't want anything to do with her kids anymore. She just wants to live her life and do what she wants to do. So she hasn't talked to me for a year since it happened last year. I don't know. She just disowned me because I think her husband spilled all the beans as far as what was going on and how extreme it was. And I think she's embarrassed by me knowing that. And so I don't know how to help her. She hasn't talked to me for a year. I communicate with my grandkids only through text, but I'm not allowed to go to the house or go in the house or anything like that. And so I haven't seen her for a year. I don't know how to help her anymore. I don't know how to. I send her birthday cards. I send her Valentine. I took her Mother's Day flowers. No response whatsoever. She said I'm dead to her. That's what she says.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So any advice? Yeah.
Well, Nancy, first and foremost, I am so sorry that you're experiencing this. This is first and foremost terrifying, as it is also incredibly heartbreaking to have your daughter in a life-threatening situation and her resistance to do anything about it, and seeing your grandchildren suffer the way they do, as well as their father. And where nothing else has worked, really where I go to the next level in these situations, practically speaking, is an intervention. And so getting a really, really good trained interventionist to spend some time with you, husband, children, and develop a plan and an intervention plan for her that gives her the best opportunity to break through the shame that she's experiencing and wake up from the denial that she's buried underneath, to begin a pathway to healing and to restoration. And so just know that there are highly, highly trained professionals, and you want to get a professional interventionist that deals specifically with eating disorders. We know that there are other things going on behind the scenes with her that is driving this behavior, and that's why she probably needs a long-standing treatment, 3 months to possibly a year, to really, really work through a lot of what's going on inside of her and to get back on her feet and back to health. In the midst of that, though, you and the loved ones are suffering. So I would want you guys to also get support help from this. Get into, again, a counselor who understands this from a family perspective. And also there is a National Alliance of Mental Illness that they offer support groups for families and loved ones of people who have are experiencing significant mental illness in the family.
Jim?
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Nancy.
I understand what you're saying. I've been in counseling. I've been on medication to deal with all this, and I've tried to get my grandchildren in counseling, and they won't go. So it's just, the problem is, one of the biggest problems is her husband will not do anything to intervene, or he will not do anything. He doesn't even speak to me neither.
Well, he may be the first intervention. That's why you. But what I'm saying is that's why you hire an interventionist. They can help you walk through this.
Yeah, he says he loves her, and that he does not, he doesn't want to get a divorce, or he doesn't want to lose her or whatever. And I said, you're going to lose her. You've already lost her, basically.
Yeah.
And, he's not willing to do anything except play along with this. Just live the life that it is. And he doesn't, I know he doesn't like the life, but he doesn't know what to do about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Jim?
My heart goes out to you, because in some ways you're a little bit stuck. When we look at estrangement, it is a death, and yet there are opportunities for resurrection.
Yeah.
If I was you, I would spend some time with a counselor specifically speaking about estrangement from an adult child. There's some very good material out there, and I think that might help you. Read a book on estrangement with adult child, reconnecting with your estranged child. Joshua Coleman is another name. There's a couple of other books out there that are really good that might give you some insight.
Yeah, we've got resources in the newlife.com store, including a tip sheet that I can't find it right now, but it deals with estrangement from children, and we'll get a copy of that to you. But any recommendations you can think of right away from the store in terms of a book?
I think a Life Recovery Bible would be great.
Okay, stay on the phone and we'll get that to you.
I was stuck. I was so stuck. 27 years married. My husband addicted to pornography for the majority of our marriage. I was very isolated and didn't really know which way to turn.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 7th to the 9th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
You guys helped me figure out what was going on.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch, listening to all this great information and not paying. So my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Whether you're a new listener or you've been with us from the beginning or somewhere in between, there's no doubt something you've heard has impacted your life and helped you better navigate the world. If you've benefited from absorbing and applying the counsel and principles provided on this broadcast, would you please consider making a gift to New Life? Make your gift online at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And if New Life can help you get through life, by all means, get in touch with us. We're going to talk to Bonnie in Nevada, and she is a Club New Life member. Thank you so much, Bonnie, for supporting New Life every month, and thank you for calling in today.
Hi.
Hi. How can we help you?
Well, so I was injured in a car accident 12 years ago, January 3rd.
Okay.
And because I have a disorder, which I don't consider a disorder, it saved my life. Ehlers-Danlos. It's a collagen disorder, so I'm looser, floppier, extra stretchy, etc. I was broadsided by a wall of 3 cars and hit the window and lost consciousness. Praise God, the airbags didn't go off because I had the Takata metal shooting airbags in my car. But it knocked my collarbone and shoulder blade inward and downward at like a 17-degree angle, which tipped and torqued my rib cage, which pulled me into instant scoliosis, and my spine didn't snap. All why? Because I have Ehlers-Danlos. Nothing broke, nothing tore, nothing separated, nothing crushed. So a little and the brain injury with that. Currently, my whole left side is higher than my right, and the tip of my clavicle presses on my main artery to my heart, my vagus nerve, my vocal cords, my thyroid, and narrows my airway. I've been stuck like this for 12 years. Now, the good news is my spine didn't snap. The swift hit to the vagus nerve didn't kill me. And I wake up every morning. God told me I would be healed. Years ago, he told me I would be healed. So I've been waiting. And then a little while after that, he showed me in a dream, in the same exact dream, 3 times.
Okay.
So I know I'm going to be healed. But it's been 12 years.
Yeah.
And I just most recently got a denial from a trauma surgeon at Stanford University who had my file since January.
Yeah.
And then in April, he was like, I can't do it. You're going to have to start over somewhere else. So I just don't know what to do when it gets dark. You know, how do you hang on to the hope?
Yeah. Wow. What do you guys say?
Yeah, that's really, really tough, Bonnie. These physical ailments just take such a toll on us, and especially over the course of 12 years. I just have a couple follow-up questions. You know, one is what has been the course of treatment, you know, without getting too far into it. The other aspect of it is also sometimes these things can get exacerbated by medication. You know, what's the medication regimen that she's been on? But this being outside of my purview as a therapist, I'm not a doctor or anything like that. I think the thing that is most important in these situations is that we get the relational support around us. We have people who can be there to hang out with, to do life with, but also to help us navigate, especially dark times when the despair sets in, when the discouragement seems so sticky and won't go anywhere. Being able to talk this out and talk through it, as well as I find this over and over in my own life, I oftentimes run out of ideas for myself, but other people don't. You know, if I have a wise person like Jim in my life, he can offer me a perspective and a wisdom outside of myself that maybe presents the next best step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Bonnie, man, she feels like the Lord has told her, I'm going to heal you, and she believes that. But then the insurance company comes along and says, we're denying that. Yeah. And that could put Bonnie in a state of, now what?
No, sure. That makes so much sense. Bonnie, did I hear it right that the Stanford doctor denied you because of insurance, not because he didn't think that the surgery would work?
No. No, that's not right.
Right, okay.
But the gentleman that just spoke, your answer to your questions are, I have had no treatment at all because there isn't anybody. And number 2, I am not on any drugs.
No medication. Okay.
I'm allergic to medication, to morphine, and all those other narcotics just make me vomit.
Yeah.
They don't help the situation. So I do a natural.
Okay.
And as far as people that I need, that's exactly what I need. But I keep running into people who expect me to still do for them and show up for them, but they're not willing to acknowledge my needs or take care of my needs. And the guy in Stanford, he's a really talented doctor. My file went from a neurospine surgeon to a thoracic surgeon to orthopedic to trauma. And then the trauma doctor studied my file to see, could I do it and keep you alive? In 2019, there was a team of surgeons that were going to fix me. And it was like, we're going to look at your films. If we need more, we'll tell you. We're going to put a team together, and we're going to fix you up. And when I came back, it was, I'm so sorry. It's way worse than what we thought. There's only 55 to 60% chance of success. No. And we don't operate under those terms.
Yeah.
So you're really caught between this because there's a possibility, but nobody wants to take your situation on because they see it as potentially the surgery would be dangerous to your health as well. Might work, but it might be dangerous.
They're worried that they're going to kill me. They're worried that they're going to kill me.
Sure, I understand.
God already told me he was going to heal me.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried, but they're worried. So and there is no trauma team assembled anywhere in the United States who so far as willing to touch me.
Right. Sounds like
so
you've
it's
done your
a
work on that too. Is that right? Do you feel like you've been through this with enough skilled trauma specialists that you just don't have, you feel kind of stuck, you're at a dead end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And years ago when that doctor, in 2019, that doctor, super talented, he operated on my daughter's heart when she was 6 years old and fixed a 9-millimeter VSD behind the tricuspid valve. And my daughter is not on a pacemaker.
Wow.
So he's very talented. When he said he couldn't do it, I praise God, because he's not going to try to be a hero.
Sure.
But yeah, basically I need an outside-the-box thinker. I need a team of outside-the-box thinkers, or the Lord to open a door mightily to where he showed me.
Wow.
I know what it looks like. I know how big the operating room is. I know there's a gallery. I just need a light, a little glimpse of light.
Right. Yeah. Right. What's so hard about this is because it looks like you've done the work. Because my suggestion was going to be go to one of the best, like a Mayo Clinic, those kinds of places, and have them, go see it for a couple of days. I mean, they have these kind of programs that are amazing. And maybe, those minds come up with something different. But it kind of sounds like you've done that. Is that right? Not Mayo necessarily, but you've done that. I mean, Stanford obviously is a great hospital.
Like as many places as, yes, Mayo. Mayo won't see me because they don't know what to do with me. Nobody knows what to do with me. So that's pretty much it. It's like, we're not touching you because of we're not looking at anybody with Ehlers-Danlos, or we can't touch you and we don't do teamwork. Whatever. There's always an excuse.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Part of it might be to keep persevering. I mean, you do hear stories of people who, they go, unfortunately, from, key place to key place, and all of a sudden somebody goes, you know what, I got an idea. And I wouldn't give up. And, God gave you a vision. I'd keep persevering. The Bible's very clear that we're called to persevere. It's really hard, though. And to do that, you're going to need that support that Chris was talking about.
And a lot of times in asking for, or in our request to persevere for ourselves, we ask God to give us the strength to persevere.
Yeah, right.
God, those moments of surrender. God, you've got to show the way. You've got to light the path.
Yeah.
You've got to do for me what I can't do for myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Elizabeth, we're going to talk to you when we come back from the break, but right now let's look for something to send to Bonnie from the newlife.com store, maybe a devotional, or there's so much in there that we can offer, and we'll make a decision during the break here on New Life Live, and then we'll let you know what we're going to send you, and we'll be back with you here on New Life.
Do you need help for life's hard situations?
My husband recently said he wanted a divorce.
I'm confused on what I should do.
I have an eating disorder.
New Life Live answers your questions on relationships, grief, addiction, trauma, anxiety, and much more, all from a biblical perspective with our panel of professional counselors and psychologists.
I learn a lot from your program.
You help so many people.
I appreciate your ministry.
Whether you listen or watch, there are so many ways to connect with us to ask our panel of counselors a question. Call us Monday through Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific at 1-800-229-3000 to ask your question on New Life Live. Or go to newlife.com/radio for other ways to get your question answered.
I'm trying to find help.
I just want to know how to set boundaries.
If it's a sin, what am I supposed to do?
Need a therapist or a coach, a resource, or an intensive? Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
is.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's competent, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
The old adage, you learn something new every day, definitely applies to the newlife.com video library. With over 650 teaching videos by our radio team and network therapists, you'll never stop growing. Check it out at newlife.com under the Listen tab and learn something new today. Bonnie, we're going to send you a copy of 100 Days of Healing from the newlife.com store. And now we're going to talk to Elizabeth in Grand Prairie, Texas, listening on KWRD. Welcome, Elizabeth, to New Life Live.
Thank you for taking my call. I'm thinking of breaking up with my boyfriend of about 3 years. He's wanting to get married. I'm thinking, should I do it? Should I break up with him? How do I do it? And should I prepare him for it?
Why are you considering the breakup?
Well, I like that he's faithful. I trust him to take care of my dog when I'm working long hours. He works. I'm attracted to him physically, his attention. I like that he knows how to relax and seems like he, can handle stress in that way. But I don't like that we're not compatible spiritually. He doesn't go to Bible study. He won't go to church with me, or he doesn't go by himself. I don't like that he seems to be insecure. And what I mean by that, he avoids conversations about, like, past things. He will, if I'm asking him a question about something, he'll go around it rather than directly answering my question. He also does not invite me to family events or gatherings. And those are things that are very concerning.
And those are things that obviously are very important to you.
Yes.
Okay, so Elizabeth, I have a basic question for you. When you look at the totality of your relationship over the last 3 years, would you just simply say, yeah, this relationship doesn't work for me?
Most of the time, I say those things.
Most of the time. Okay.
Most of the time.
Yeah, because I think with 3 years, you have a good piece of evidence, track record here to know if this thing works for you, if it doesn't work for you. And I think that's when we settle that within our own hearts first, then it makes the confrontation not easier, but it makes it more clear. And that's really important.
Okay.
But I do think that you may be at a spot in your life where you prepare him for that, and giving him the reasons why this relationship doesn't work for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we also, when we avoid breaking up because we know there's going to be pain on our part too. And we don't want to, he seems like a nice guy. We don't want to inflict pain on him. So sometimes in that avoidance of pain, we actually are causing more damage. I like to say before freedom comes pain. So, any way you look at it, there's going to be some pain, whether you stay in the relationship or you stay out of it. But I agree with Chris. I would say to him, and you could say, I think we need to break up. Some people would say, I think we need to take a break for 3 months and let's kind of reevaluate after 3 months. But here's what it is. Boom. Not compatible spiritually. I'm asking you if you want to stay in this relationship. I'd like you to be involved, with church. You don't have to be as involved as I am or whatever, but we want you, I'd like you there. I want to talk about the avoidance issues, and I want to talk through again about the family issues. If you're willing to kind of want to stay in it, possibly as, we're going to take a break, but not break up. If you're going to break up, there's, I hate to say this, but there's going to be pain. But the easiest way is to say, here's why I'm breaking up with you. And I think you're a great guy, but boom, boom, boom. And it gives you the freedom to tell them what's on your mind. But if it's not going anywhere, most of the time, like you said to Chris, it's probably a good idea to change the relationship. Take a break, or break up.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Any other questions for us, Elizabeth?
Yeah, and
I think that's it. I think you're right on it about avoidance of pain, avoiding, for me, avoiding on both ends. I don't want to create pain in someone else's life,
right.
But I also don't want to have continued pain and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. You know, I think the book Changes That Heal would be really good for you because it was very transformational for me, let me tell you that, especially in how I do relationships, but most importantly, how I do the relationship with myself. Because that book walks us through some developmental markers, and it also helps us see where other people are you know, for instance, his avoidance. There's actually some things that you dropped in there that had me a little bit concerned about him doing some hiding or concealing of parts of his life that I'm like, oh, no, that's not going to work in marriage at all. And so I think that you having those proper red flags there are really important, and being like, yeah, no, if you want to get married, man, we're a long ways away from that because of the lack of compatibility. And in fact, now that and oftentimes when we move out of a relationship, as scary and painful as it can be, it really does open up the door for something new and different to occur. And so again, I encourage you, we're going to send you a copy, if that's all right, Brian,
yeah,
jump in here, of the book Changes That Heal. And again, I just believe that there will be a lot of wisdom to help you understand what's going on with him, what's going on with you, and what you're really looking for in a partner.
Elizabeth,
thank you very much.
Yeah, I love that you called into our program today and you're saying all these great things about your boyfriend, but yet there's the spiritual aspect of it that's very important to you, because some people may not look at it as that important. And Jim, we were talking about this on a recent episode, where when it comes to those unequally yoked relationships, and some people are just like, well, you know what, he's good to me, he feeds my dogs when I'm not home, you know, that kind of thing, so he's a keeper. But for someone like Elizabeth, she's thinking, no, I need something deeper than that.
And sometimes we get involved in a relationship hoping that it's going to change. Yeah. And I don't think we marry people for the reason that, they're going to change. Right now they do this, but they're going to change. I think we have to pretty much, what we see is what we get.
Yeah.
And again, we do hope that things change, but sometimes that's not the reason to get married.
Yeah.
Well, the principle I give premaritals is this: whatever you expect or whatever you experience in dating, 5x it when you get married.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah. Yellow flags, red flags, green flags.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Good. I like that.
How long have you been listening to New Life Live, Elizabeth?
Oh, it seems like since the mid-90s, probably.
You know what? I knew you were a long-time listener because she's got so much wisdom. She knew, I just had a feeling that...
Well, I was going to say, I love Elizabeth as a caller, but as a person, because she has so much clarity.
Yeah.
That clarity comes with a lot of wisdom, and that wisdom guides really good decisions.
Yeah, very thoughtful.
Thank you.
All right, Elizabeth, stay on the phone. We'll send you a copy of Changes That Heal from the newlife.com store. And that's all the time we have on today's program. Join us again tomorrow. And if you've got a question for us, we would love to hear from you. You can call us when we're here in the studio. We've also got a couple of other ways that you can send your question to us. You can go to our website, newlife.com/radio, to find out those other ways that you can get your question to us. We prefer to hear the sound of your voice, but we know that's not always possible. So we've set up an email that you can send to us, and we'll read your question here on the radio program and let you know when we answer it. Don't forget all of our intensives that we've got coming up. You can find out more about them at newlife.com, including the Every Man's Battle intensive, which begins tomorrow in Denver. So check that out. Not too late for you to sign up, guys, at newlife.com. We've also got Intimacy and Marriage and the Restore Healing After Betrayal. Choosing Wisdom, that's one we're going to do online in October. All the details at newlife.com. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching New Life Live. Talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.